I still remember the smell of fresh coffee and expensive cologne in that conference room. The morning light bounced off the glass table where I'd placed the contract, the $60 million deal I'd spent 18 months chasing. My heart was racing with pride. This was my moment. Grant Ellison, our CEO, entered with his perfect silver hair and custom suit. Behind him trailed Kendra Rowe, my VP, who'd barely contributed anything to the deal. Their faces looked strange. Not celebratory, but stiff. "Naomi," Grant said, not even glancing at the contract, "we need to discuss restructuring." The room went silent. I felt my smile freeze. "We're taking the company in a different direction," he continued, sliding a folder toward me. "Your position is being eliminated, effective immediately." I stared at the termination papers, my hands suddenly cold. 18 months of work, countless late nights, and I was being fired minutes after delivering the biggest contract in company history? "Kendra will be taking over the Haven Tech account," Grant added. "She has the executive presence we need for clients at this level." I looked up at Kendra's smug smile, and a strange calmness washed over me. They had no idea what they'd just done. I signed the papers and closed the folder. Then I smiled. 2 weeks earlier, I sat across from Zaria Knight, CEO of Haven Tech, in her minimalist office. Rain tapped against the floor-to-ceiling windows as we discussed final terms. Zaria wasn't your typical CEO. No fancy suits or power plays, just brilliant ideas and brutal honesty. "Naomi, we're ready to sign," she said, leaning forward. "But I need to know you'll be handling this personally, not some random account manager." I nodded. "Of course I'll." "No," she interrupted, her eyes intense. "I need more than corporate promises. This is a $60 million gamble for us. I'm not signing unless you personally guarantee you'll oversee implementation." I hesitated. Greyrock systems didn't work that way. Deals were closed by sales, then handed off. But Zaria wasn't budging. "I promise," I finally said. "I will personally manage this transition. You have my word." Zaria studied me, then nodded. "Good. I trust you, Naomi. Not your company, you." We shook hands, and I never mentioned this condition to anyone at Greyrock. It wasn't part of the official contract, just a promise between us. Something told me to keep it quiet. That handshake was my insurance policy, though I didn't know it then. My office door was still slightly open when I overheard it 3 days before the signing. Kendra's voice drifted from Grant's corner office. "She doesn't have the background for this level of responsibility," Kendra said. "Haven Tech's executives all went to top schools. How's Naomi going to relate with her state college degree?" My blood froze. I'd worked twice as hard to get half as far. While Kendra flaunted her Harvard MBA, I'd been too busy actually closing deals to care about where anyone went to school. "The board's concerned too," Grant replied. "This is our biggest account yet. We need someone with the right pedigree." "I can step in," Kendra offered. "I speak their language. We're bringing in a new head of sales anyway." The pieces clicked together. They'd been planning to replace me all along. The deal I'd worked on for over a year was just a stepping stone for Kendra. My success was the perfect opportunity for my own execution. I backed away silently, my hands shaking with rage. My degree wasn't fancy enough? 18 months of work meant nothing because I didn't belong to their elite club? I'd never felt so furious or so determined. Back in my apartment that evening, after being fired, I deleted Greyrock's number from my phone. My potted plants needed watering, my cat needed feeding. Life went on, even though my career had just exploded. I microwaved leftover pasta and sat cross-legged on my couch, still in my expensive work clothes. The termination package was generous, 6 months' salary to keep me quiet. They thought money would solve everything. My phone buzzed. A message from Zaria. "Looking forward to seeing you Monday for kickoff." My team's excited. I stared at the screen. They hadn't told Haven Tech yet. Of course not. The signing ceremony was tomorrow. They'd fire me today, celebrate the deal tomorrow, and only then would they tell Zaria that I'd been replaced. I could warn her now. One text and their perfect plan would collapse. My finger hovered over the keyboard, but something stopped me. Some things are better witnessed firsthand. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way. I put my phone down and smiled to myself. In exactly 18 hours, Greyrock's perfect little world would crumble, and I wouldn't have to lift a finger to make it happen. I imagined the scene perfectly. Greyrock's largest conference room, decorated for the occasion, champagne chilling, executives in their finest suits, photographers ready to capture the historic moment. Zaria would arrive precisely on time, always punctual, never early or late. She'd be dressed in her signature minimalist style, no doubt. The door would open. Grant would step forward, hand extended. "Where's Naomi?" Zaria would ask immediately, looking around the room. Grant would falter, just slightly. "Naomi's no longer with the company, but I'd like to introduce you to Kendra Rowe, who will be overseeing your account." And then it would happen. Zaria's face would harden. "No, Naomi. No deal." The room would freeze. Confusion at first, then panic. "I made a promise to Naomi, and she made one to me," Zaria would say. "If she's gone, so is this contract." And just like that, $60 million would vanish. 18 months of work, the biggest deal in company history, gone in an instant. I took another bite of pasta and smiled. Sometimes revenge doesn't require action. Sometimes you just need to wait. My Saturday morning yoga session was interrupted by my phone buzzing repeatedly. I ignored it until I finished my final pose. 12 missed calls and 23 text messages, all from Greyrock numbers. One text caught my eye. "You dropped a bomb in the boardroom. Call me." Marcus. Marcus was Greyrock's legal counsel. He'd always been kind to me. I smiled, imagining the chaos. Contracts torn up, champagne unpopped, Grant's perfect silver hair probably rumpled from running his hands through it in panic. As I reached for water, my phone lit up again. "Grant Ellison. This would be interesting." I let it ring twice more before answering. "Naomi." Grant's voice was strained. "There's been a misunderstanding." I stayed silent. "Zaria Knight is refusing to sign without you involved. This is extremely unusual and problematic." I took a slow sip of water. "That sounds like a Greyrock problem, not a Naomi problem." "We need to fix this," he said, desperation creeping into his voice. "Can you come in? We can discuss your position." I laughed softly. My position was eliminated, remember? Effective immediately. His silence told me everything. "Name your price," Grant said, his voice now pleading. "VP title? Whatever you want." I lounged deeper into my couch, enjoying this unexpected Saturday entertainment. "You know what's funny, Grant? Yesterday I wasn't good enough. My background wasn't prestigious enough. Today I'm suddenly invaluable." "That's not. It is exactly what happened," I interrupted. "Kendra made it very clear my state college degree wasn't impressive enough for Haventech's executives. Funny how Zaria never seemed to mind." The silence on the other end was deafening. "We can make this right," he finally said. "Double your salary, corner office, direct report to me." I closed my eyes, savoring the moment. For years I'd worked twice as hard to be taken half as seriously. Now they were begging. "No, thank you," I said calmly. "You didn't value me before. You only want me because you're bleeding now. Naomi, please." "Good luck with Haventech, Grant. I hear Zaria can be quite stubborn when she feels someone's broken a promise." I hung up and blocked his number. Sunday morning, my doorbell rang. I peered through the peephole to see Zaria Knight standing in my hallway, holding a bottle of expensive tequila. "You should have told me," she said when I opened the door, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. I shrugged. "Would it have changed anything?" "No," she admitted, setting the tequila on my kitchen counter. "But I could have prepared better." Grant Ellison looked like he was going to pass out. We both laughed as I grabbed shot glasses. "They offered to bring you back," Zaria said, not a question, but a statement. I nodded, pouring the amber liquid. "Triple my salary, VP title, the works." And I told them no." She smiled, lifting her glass. "Good, because I have a better idea." We clinked glasses and took our shots. The tequila burned pleasantly. "I'm not signing with Greyrock," Zaria continued. "Not now, not ever. But I still need a new system, and you still need a job." "What are you suggesting?" Her eyes sparkled. "I know someone you should meet. Another CEO who's been trying to get my attention for years." Monday afternoon, I met Blake Ashton at a rooftop restaurant downtown. He wasn't at all what I expected. No slick suit or rehearsed smile, just jeans, a simple button-up, and the most intense focus I'd ever experienced. "Zaria speaks highly of you," he said after we ordered. "That's rare." I studied him carefully. "Your company, Orion Nexus, you're going after Greyrock's market." He nodded. "We're smaller, faster, more innovative. What Greyrock's selling is already outdated." "Then why hasn't Zaria signed with you before now?" Blake smiled. "She never returned my calls. Until yesterday." The waiter brought our drinks, sparkling water for him, iced tea for me. No alcohol. This was business. So, I said, why am I here? Because you understand enterprise clients. You built relationships I couldn't even get started, and you just walked away from a $60 million deal on principle. I didn't walk away. I was fired. Details, he waved dismissively. The point is, Zarya trusts you. I need someone Zarya trusts. I took a slow sip of my tea. And what do I get out of this? Blake leaned forward. How does head of strategic account sound? Plus equity. Real equity, not the symbolic kind. I'm not interested in a title, I told Blake, watching his expression shift from confidence to curiosity. I can get a title anywhere. He nodded slowly. What are you interested in? Impact, I said simply. Freedom to build something that matters. No more corporate politics or Harvard networking clubs. Blake laughed. I dropped out of college, so you're safe there. The city skyline stretched behind him, including the Grey Rock building where I'd spent 5 years climbing a ladder that was rigged from the start. Here's my offer, Blake continued. You bring your expertise. I give you the platform and resources. We build something better than Grey Rock ever imagined. And Zarya? I asked. That's up to you. You landed her once? Think you can do it again? I smiled. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about building something authentic, something Kendra and Grant could never understand with their polished resumes and empty promises. One condition, I said. I build my team my way. No pedigree requirements. I want people who deliver, regardless of where they went to school. Blake extended his hand. Welcome to Orion Nexus. Zarya arrived at Orion Nexus's modest headquarters the following week. Their office couldn't have been more different from Grey Rock's glass tower. Open space, standing desks, walls covered with ideas instead of awards. Blake, Zarya, and I sat in a small conference room. No champagne, no photographers, just coffee and honest conversation. Your system is still unproven, Zarya said to Blake, never one to sugarcoat. Grey Rock has a track record. A track record of firing the people you trust, Blake countered. I spread out my proposal on the table, similar to what I'd designed at Grey Rock, but better, more flexible, more innovative, built for growth rather than just maintenance. I can offer the same guarantees I made before, I said to Zarya. With one improvement, I'm not going anywhere this time. Zarya studied the papers, then looked at me. Same price? 10% less, I replied. We don't have Grey Rock's overhead. She raised an eyebrow, impressed. When can you start? We already have, Blake said, pointing to initial wireframes on his tablet. Zarya extended her hand to Blake, then to me. Send over the contracts. We're in. Just like that, a $54 million deal was born, and Grey Rock's first domino fell. The news broke faster than I expected. Tech industry newsletters picked up the story. Haventech pulls $60 million deal with Grey Rock, signs with upstart Orion Nexus instead. My LinkedIn exploded with connection requests. Old colleagues messaged with questions. Even my mother called after reading about it online. Is it true? She asked. Did you really walk away from Grey Rock and take their biggest client? I didn't walk away, Mom. They fired me. I corrected her. Everything else is basically true. She paused. I'm proud of you, honey. Standing up for yourself like that. Her words hit me harder than I expected. All those years of pushing myself, of trying to prove I belonged despite not having the right background. It wasn't just for me. It was for her too. For everyone who'd been told they weren't good enough because they didn't fit some arbitrary mold. That afternoon, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. I answered cautiously. Is this Naomi Vega? A woman asked. Speaking. This is Diane Powell, CEO of Meridian Solutions. I understand you've recently joined Orion Nexus. My heart skipped. Meridian was on Grey Rock's prospect list, another potential huge client. We're currently reviewing proposals, she continued. I'd like to add Orion Nexus to our consideration list. The ripples were becoming waves. Through industry contacts, I heard about the chaos at Grey Rock. Their stock dropped 12% after the Haventech news went public. Investors were asking uncomfortable questions. The board called an emergency meeting. Marcus, still my friend despite everything, sent me a text. Board meeting was brutal. Grant blamed Kendra. Kendra blamed legal. Everyone's looking for someone to throw under the bus. I didn't feel the satisfaction I expected. These were people I'd worked with for years. I didn't want them to suffer. I just wanted them to learn. That evening, an email arrived from Kendra. Surprising, considering everything. I underestimated you, she wrote. That was my mistake, and now I'm paying for it. They're looking for a scapegoat. Guess who's first in line? I closed my laptop without replying. Kendra had chosen her path when she decided my background wasn't prestigious enough. Now she was learning that Harvard degrees don't shield you from consequences. Later, I got another text from Marcus. Grey Rock stock down 18% now. 3 more clients asking questions. Board wants answers. Grant looks terrible. The empire wasn't just cracking. It was crumbling. My first day at Orion Nexus was refreshingly different. No mahogany furniture or corner offices, just an open workspace filled with energy and ideas. Blake introduced me to the team with simple honesty. This is Naomi. She just cost Grey Rock $60 million by being too valuable to lose. Listen to her. Some faces I recognized from industry events. Others were completely new. All looked at me with a mix of curiosity and respect. I was given a desk near the window and a small team to start with. No fancy title plaque, no executive assistant. Just work that mattered and people who cared. During lunch, I unpacked a small box of personal items. Among them was my framed state college diploma, the one Kendra had mocked behind my back. I placed it prominently on my desk. Blake noticed and smiled. Nice school. Not prestigious enough for some, I replied. He shrugged. My college dropout certificate is in my drawer somewhere. Results matter more than paper. I looked around at my new workplace. No pretension, no elite gatekeeping. Just innovation and authenticity. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. Kendra didn't go quietly. She launched a desperate campaign to reclaim the Haventech deal, calling Zaria multiple times a day until Zaria finally had her number blocked. She offered to beat our price by 15%, Zaria told me over lunch. When that didn't work, she started hinting that your implementation would fail without Grey Rock's resources. I nearly choked on my salad. What did you say to that? Zaria smiled coolly. I said that Naomi Vega with a laptop is worth more than Grey Rock's entire development team. Meanwhile, Blake and I were preparing our pitch for Meridian Solutions, the second domino in what we hoped would be a long row. Our proposal wasn't just competitive, it was revolutionary, combining elements that Grey Rock hadn't even considered. That evening, Diane Powell's assistant confirmed our presentation slot. The same day Grey Rock was scheduled to pitch. The playing field was leveling. Before leaving the office, I got a notification that Grant had viewed my LinkedIn profile. Twice. He could see I'd updated my position to Head of Strategic Partnerships, Orion Nexus. He could also see the growing list of congratulations from industry contacts. I wondered if he regretted his decision yet. I wondered if Kendra did. Logan Chen, Grey Rock's senior systems architect, waited for me outside our office the next morning. Got a minute? He asked, looking nervously over his shoulder, as if expecting Grey Rock's spies to appear. I invited him in for coffee. Logan had always been brilliant, the backbone of many projects I'd worked on. He was also perpetually overlooked for promotion because he lacked the executive presence Grey Rock so valued. They're imploding, he said once we sat down. 3 more clients are reviewing their contracts. Grant is micromanaging everything. Kendra's blaming everyone but herself. I nodded, waiting for the real reason he was here. I heard what they did to you, he continued. The real reason, not the restructuring lie they told everyone. I stayed silent. I spent 6 years building their systems, Logan said, his voice steady. 6 years being told I'm too quiet for leadership roles. I'm ready for something new. The request was clear, though unspoken. I studied him carefully. We value results here, Logan, I said finally. Not how loud you talk in meetings or what school you attended. Relief washed over his face. When can I start? How's Monday sound? The exodus was beginning. Meridian Solutions signed with us 2 weeks later. Another major client lost for Grey Rock. Another win for Orion Nexus. Our team celebrated with pizza and beer in the conference room. No fancy restaurants or champagne, just genuine satisfaction for work well done. My phone lit up with a text from Marcus. Grant just received a report identifying 5 more at-risk clients, all asking about you specifically. Board is in full panic mode. I showed the message to Blake, who grinned. The best revenge is massive success. This isn't about revenge, I corrected him. It's about building something better. That night, I received an unexpected email from a junior analyst at Greyrock, someone I'd mentored briefly. They're monitoring your LinkedIn, making lists of who's connecting with you, creating risk assessments based on which clients engage with your posts. I was living rent-free in their heads. The thought wasn't entirely unpleasant. Later, a notification popped up on my phone. Kendra had removed me from her LinkedIn connections. I smiled. She still didn't understand. This wasn't about networking or connections. This was about value. Real value, not the kind you claim on a resume. Greyrock was scared. And they should be. Monday morning brought news that Greyrock's legal team was preparing a cease and desist letter, claiming I had violated non-compete clauses. Marcus sent a heads up. They're desperate, looking for anything to slow you down. I forwarded the warning to Blake, who connected me with Orion's attorneys. Within hours, they confirmed what I already knew. My Greyrock contract had no enforceable non-compete. They had nothing. But Kendra wasn't done. Through industry channels, I learned she was telling clients that Zaria was considering a breach of contract suit against us. It was a desperate lie. I called Zaria immediately. "Are you hearing these rumors? About me suing you?" She laughed. "Yes, apparently, I'm very angry about being tricked into breaking my Greyrock contract." "Except there was no contract," I pointed out. "You never signed." "Exactly. I've already had my PR team issue a statement clarifying that. Kendra's going to look even worse when it hits the news tomorrow." I thanked her and hung up, feeling a strange mix of emotions. This wasn't the clean professional break I'd imagined. This was turning into a war. One Greyrock started but couldn't possibly win. Not against us. Not anymore. That evening, Zaria invited me to her apartment for dinner. It was a sparse, modern space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. We sat on her balcony with takeout containers and wine, watching the sunset. "Remember senior year?" she asked, refilling my glass. "That terrible apartment we shared?" I laughed. "The one with the leaky ceiling and the neighbors who fought all night? How could I forget?" "We ate ramen for a month straight to afford textbooks," she said, smiling at the memory. "And we made that pact." The pact. I hadn't thought about it in years. Two college girls sitting cross-legged on a stained carpet, making promises about the future. "When one of us makes it, we pull the other one up," I recited from memory. Zaria nodded. "I always thought I'd be the one pulling you up. Turns out, we're pulling each other." We clinked glasses. Behind her, the Greyrock building stood tall among the skyscrapers, its windows glowing in the dusk. Once I dreamed of having an office near the top. Now I realized how much bigger the world was outside those glass walls. "To promises kept," Zaria said. "To promises kept," I echoed. Some bonds transcend contracts. Some loyalty can't be bought with Harvard degrees or corner offices. Blake called me into his office early Tuesday, grinning as he spun his monitor toward me. Headlines blazed across the screen. Startup Orion Nexus steals second major client from industry giant Greyrock. How a fired manager built a rival empire in under 30 days. Greyrock stock plummets as client exodus continues. TechCrunch, Forbes, Business Insider, they were all running with the story. The David versus Goliath narrative was too juicy to ignore. "We're trending," Blake said, unable to contain his excitement. "Venture capital firms are calling. Everyone wants a piece of what we're building." My phone buzzed continuously with notifications. Old colleagues, industry peers, reporters requesting interviews. "What do you want to do?" Blake asked. "This is your moment too." I considered the question carefully. Part of me wanted to tell the world how Greyrock had dismissed me for not having the right pedigree. How classism and elitism had cost them millions. But a bigger part recognized that success speaks louder than any interview ever could. "Let's focus on building," I said finally. "The results will tell our story better than words." Blake nodded approvingly. "That's why you're here." Later that day, we closed a third major deal. No press release necessary. The news hit like a tidal wave. Kendra Rowe, VP of Strategic Accounts at Greyrock Systems, was stepping down to pursue other opportunities. The corporate euphemism fooled no one. She had been fired or forced to resign, which amounted to the same thing. Marcus texted details. Board cited catastrophic mismanagement of key relationships. "She's gone. Grant demoted to president, no longer CEO. They're bringing in crisis management." I felt a complicated mix of emotions. Satisfaction, certainly, but also a strange sadness. Kendra had chosen the wrong path, valuing pedigree over performance, status over substance. Now she was paying the price. That afternoon, LinkedIn notifications showed 5 more Grey Rock employees had updated their profiles as open to work. The exodus was accelerating. An email arrived from Grant, sent to my personal address since I'd blocked him everywhere else. I was wrong. It read simply, "I'm sorry. Too little, too late." But I appreciated the humanity behind it. In another life, in a company that valued the right things, perhaps we could have built something amazing together. I closed the email without replying. Some bridges can't be rebuilt once burned. 1 month after Zaria signed with us, our team had grown from 7 to 23. Many were former Grey Rock employees, talented people who had been overlooked or undervalued for all the wrong reasons. I called them my Phoenix team. Resin from the ashes of their former careers, Logan had transformed our technical architecture, finally allowed to implement ideas Grey Rock had deemed too innovative. Mira, a brilliant analyst who'd been stuck in an entry-level role because she was too direct in meetings, now led our data strategy. Jason, passed over repeatedly at Grey Rock despite stellar performance because he lacked polish, headed our client success team. We weren't just building software. We were building a culture. One that valued results over resumes, impact over image. Blake gave me full autonomy to shape this team my way. No HR filters requiring specific schools or years of experience. Just raw talent and genuine passion. During our weekly all-hands meeting, I looked around at these faces, some I'd known for years, others brand new to me. All united by a shared vision of what work could be when freed from arbitrary gatekeeping. "This is just the beginning," I told them. And I meant it. Grey Rock's new CEO, Patricia Winters, was known as a turnaround specialist. Her first move was predictable, a buyout offer for Orion Nexus. The email came directly to Blake and me. "We see tremendous potential in combining our organizations. Name your price." Blake called me into his office to discuss it. "They're desperate," he said, feet propped on his desk. "This is a last-ditch effort to stop the bleeding." I nodded. Their board must be in full panic mode. "So," Blake leaned forward, "what do we tell them?" I thought about Grey Rock's glass tower, the executive offices with their mahogany furniture, the prestigious address, all the trappings of success without the substance. Then I looked around at our modest space filled with energy and authentic innovation. "Tell them we're not for sale," I said finally. "Not at any price." Blake grinned and drafted a response on the spot. "Thank you for your interest. We must decline. You couldn't afford us then. You still can't now." Perhaps it was petty. Perhaps it was unprofessional. But watching him hit send felt like closing a chapter that needed ending. Some things aren't for sale. Some principles can't be compromised, not even for all the money in the world. 6 months flew by in a whirlwind of growth. Orion Nexus expanded to new offices. Our client list grew from 3 to 17. Our team more than doubled again. Then came the email I never expected. An invitation to be keynote speaker at the annual Tech Innovation Summit, an honor usually reserved for industry veterans or founders of unicorn startups. "They want me to talk about disruption and resilience," I told Blake, still staring at the invitation in disbelief. "Well, you are the poster child for both," he replied. "You should do it." The summit was the industry's premier event. Everyone would be there, including Grey Rock's leadership team. I spent weeks crafting my speech, determined to focus on the future rather than dwelling on the past. This wasn't about Grey Rock anymore. This was about changing how the entire industry thought about talent and value. The day arrived. Standing at the podium, facing hundreds of industry leaders, I felt strangely calm. I wasn't underestimated, I told the hushed audience. I was misjudged. There's a difference. Underestimation is about capability. Misjudgment is about perception, and perception is where most companies fail. Later that evening, I was named Executive of the Year. Grey Rock's table remained conspicuously empty. 1 year to the day after being fired, I stood in my new office, a simple space with glass walls and a view of the city. No mahogany, no pretension, just functionality and light. On my desk sat a small frame note from Zaria. "I keep my promises too." Next to it was my state college diploma, proudly displayed rather than hidden away. And beside that, a spreadsheet showing our latest quarterly results, growth that had surpassed even our most optimistic projections. Blake knocked on my door, coffee in hand. Board meeting in 10. The investors are practically giddy. I nodded, gathering my materials. Did you see the news about Grey Rock? Acquisition rumors, he said, struggling to stop the client exodus. Stock down 60% since last year. I felt no joy at their downfall, only a quiet satisfaction that the market had recognized true value over empty prestige. As we walked to the conference room, my team was already gathering, diverse faces from all backgrounds, united by talent rather than pedigree. Logan gave me a thumbs up as he arranged his presentation materials. Ready to change the world? Blake asked. I smiled. We already have. Some revenge doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be final.